Hello, Power Up Nation. I'm Pat Council, and on Designing Your Life today, I'm going to talk about recalling old habits but activating new ones. So, when it comes to achieving your goals, we're at kind of the mid-year point. And how's it going? Actually, we're about to go into the next month. So, are you on track when it comes to achieving your goals? Once again, a lot of the podcasts that I'm going to be doing, let's say this week, next week, it's based on some of the feedback I've gotten from people about where they are on their goal achievement journey. And so it's time for you to kind of perhaps rev up or refresh or do something, get some new information or pay attention to what's really going on. Now, during our Summer Success Series, we have a challenge that's going to help you with that, as well as some other information that you will find extremely valuable. The object of the game is for you to truly rev up your power so that you can do life with power, so that you can embrace who you really are, so that you can make the necessary identity shift so that you can get to where it is you desire to be. One of the things that you can do to make that happen is to pay attention to your habits. Pay attention to what's going on. Some of the things that we were taught when we were younger, these were good habits. Okay, now we also picked up a few bad habits as well, but we're talking only about the good habits or the habits that will help you win. Have you ever thought about those habits? Are you still using those habits? Like, for example, you guys have heard me talk about being on my fitness kick and making sure that, I get back into shape so that I can stay healthy. And you've heard me talk about that. And so I was thinking that, when I was a kid, we ate 3 meals a day. Okay. And there was really no snacking. Every now and then there was some ice cream allowed, but that was only after dinner or after lunch or something like that. But the point is, there was only 3 meals. So there was no overeating. There was no eating between meals. There was none of that took place. And as a result, there was no fitness problem on my part. So that would be a habit that I would recall and would want to start using again and make sure, okay, I'm only going to eat 3 meals a day and eliminate the snacking. And that is exactly what I've done. And so think about what good habits that served you in the past that you stop using, that you're no longer using that habit. When I was in the military, we had to do physical training. So that means whether we wanted to or not, we were going to exercise, we were going to run, we were going to do push-ups, we were going to do sit-ups and other types of calisthenics and isometric type exercises. And of course, once you leave the military, well, there's no one to make you do those kinds of things. Now, when I was in the military, a good habit was that, of course, I had to go to physical training because it was mandatory, but there were days, especially when I was stationed overseas, where there was no mandatory physical training, but we could take time off to go to the gym. And no one had to make me do that. That was a habit that I had adopted, and it's a habit that I kept in full effect. So no one had to tell me to go exercise. And even though it wasn't mandatory at that point in time, I still exercised no matter what. So I thought about that and I said, okay, just because you're not in the military. Now I do exercise, but of course in the military, it's a different type of exercise. We're talking serious sweat here. So, and I thought, okay, and it's not about you trying to kill yourself or anything like that by over-exercising or things like that. And it's not about that. It is about, and when I say kill yourself, I'm talking metaphorically. It is about you not being so soft with yourself or going too light. In other words, just kind of going through the motions or going for a little slow stroll, a slow walk. And although you've gotten some steps in, you really haven't burned that many calories and you haven't worked up a sweat. of any kind. So the point I'm getting to here is that was a good habit. And I thought about, you know what, that was a pretty good habit. No one had to make me get out there and run 2 or 3 miles. I would just do it. And that's a good habit for me to adopt. Okay. One more, and along the lines of exercises, I have not participated in any kind of 15K or 10K. It's probably been about maybe 2 years now. Could be, about 2.5 years. Well, I take that back. It was a long time, about 2 years. And then the Navy were celebrating their birthday last year. And so they had a little fun run, and it was a 2.5 mile run. And that 2.5 mile run came with a shiny medal. So I thought, you know what, it'll be fun. And this is a great way for me to get back into the game. So this was me recalling another habit, finding a reason to get out there and run. And it's not so much about the running, but it's about doing the type of cardio that was going to give me a really good workout and make me sweat. So those are good habits. What good habits can you recall? Take a moment, think about it, and write those good habits down. Because sometimes when we're not achieving a goal that we set, it's because we have picked up some habits that don't serve us. And when I say habits that don't serve us, I'm talking about habits that are counterproductive to the outcome, helping you create the outcome that you desire for your life. And so if you're going to get a certain outcome, whether you like it or not, there are certain adjustments that you have to make. So what habit do you need to recall? Think about it. Have you ever found yourself saying, I used to do this, or I used to, eat broccoli all the time. Okay, I never did that, but that's just something I thought I'd throw out there. What is it that you used to do that served you really well that perhaps you should go back to it? So recalling old habits, old good habits, can actually help get you back on track or keep you on track. Now, the other part of that is, what new habits do you need to adopt that will help you achieve your goals? So when you look at your goals, and if you're not where you want to be, if you're not moving forward, if you're not staying focused, what new habits do you need to adopt? And see, this doesn't have to be something where you're so hard on yourself, where you go, I need to focus more, and I just don't do it. Don't beat yourself up about it. Just make a decision. Make a decision and make that identity shift. You see, when you make an identity shift, it becomes easier for you to stay on track. Okay, for example, and working out is such a good example. So I'm going to use that one again. So for example, if you say, well, I'm going to work out, 5 days a week, and you have to adopt that identity. You have to adjust your identity to a person who likes to work out. You have to adjust your identity, even if you say, well, I don't really like it, but I actually do like it. But just hypothetically, if you don't like it, and you have to just say, you know what, I'm a person who works out 5 days a week, no matter what. It's what I do. You see, when you say it's what you do, that's your identity. You see, so you want to take a look at what do you need to add to your identity? What new habit do you need to add that's going to help you achieve the goal? So I want to suggest to you right now that if anything's coming to mind, that you jot it down, write it down. Now, you have to take it one step further. Once you're done listening to this podcast, and this is a very short podcast today, so we're going to wrap up in a few moments here. Once you write it down, then the next step would be for you to actually make a decision. Decide that this is who I am now. I'm a person who works out. I'm a physically fit person. You see, the I am factor has to kick in. And it's not about what you're going to do. It's not about what you didn't do and you used to not do. It is about who you are today. Okay, so that's the thing. You have to make that commitment. So it goes beyond just writing it down. So make that commitment to yourself. What commitment are you prepared to make to yourself? So decide. This is about you deciding who you are. not who you're going to be, who you are. And if you say, you know what, and again, using workout as an example, when you say you decide who you are, this means it doesn't matter if you started 5 minutes ago. You are now a person who works out. You are now a person who's physically fit. And you go, wait a minute, no, I'm not. Yes, you are. Because when you adjust your identity to match that, you're going to stay on course. Now, when it comes to your goals, if you say, well, I have a hard time staying focused, then the I am factor has to kick in. I am a focused person. And what you have to do is create an environment that helps you with that. So if you're a person that likes to watch television, I mentioned before that was one of my habits that I had to kick. I had to work on that. I'd say, okay, no television. Okay, not while you're working. You're supposed to be focused on that. So the point that I'm making here, your I am factor, I'm focused. Okay, this is a goal that I really strongly desire to achieve, and I see the outcome. You already see it as done. And in order for it to be done, you have to be that person. You have to behave the way you would behave once the goal is done. You see, a person, they don't become rich because they're wishing they were rich. They become rich because they see themselves as rich. They see themselves as deserving to have the best. They're open to receiving and accepting the best. So whatever you can put in that space doesn't, and I use rich as an example, but as I said, if it's focus or whatever you need, that's the thing. You have to already be that. So you have to step into that. So how do you do that? As I said, you create an atmosphere that's conducive to making that happen. You see, when are you going to take action on it? You have to decide. All right, this is going to happen. And usually the best time to decide is now, not a week from now. And saying, well, okay, I just need to get through this week and then I'm going to focus. Okay, when the next week comes, people rarely make the shift. Some people do, but most people don't. And so you want to make that shift now. Okay. You need to promise yourself, starting now, I'm going to focus. And what do you have to do to make that happen? As I said, what does your atmosphere, the area, your environment, what does it have to look like? What does it have to be like? And part of you starting now is you making the adjustment in your environment, getting up and, for example, I use television. If you have to watch, get rid of any distractions, you're going to move them out of that room and you're going to stay in that room, and those distractions, whatever, they'll be in another room. Don't make it easy for yourself to really, for those distractions to, distract you. So that is really kind of, I would say, 2 keys to you getting back on track or staying on track. Recalling old habits and activating new habits. And when you start to do that, you're going to see that full picture, that whole picture of who you are, who you're designed to be, and you're going to start to embrace it. And you're not going to let anybody talk you out of it. You're not going to play small. You're not going to think you're not good enough. You're not going to beat yourself up about not getting something right. See, focused people, there's kind of a myth that people, and again, I'm using focus as an example, but there's kind of a myth that when people make a decision that they're going to do something, that it happens overnight. And that, for example, if someone says, well, you know what, I'm focused, that's a myth that they don't sometimes kind of make a mistake and get unfocused for a minute, or that they fall off the wagon a little bit. But because they're committed to being focused, they immediately get back on track. So this is the middle of the year, and that's how it works. If you've kind of fallen off the wagon in whatever area, get back on track. Don't beat yourself up about it. Recommit and reinforce the identity that you need to have in order to be who you desire to be, in order to achieve what you desire to achieve. Reinforce that, and then get back in the habit of it, or activate it because it's brand new, and stick with it as much as possible. And once again, anytime you deviate from that, immediately snap back. You see, that's the beautiful part about making that commitment to yourself and making that decision. Once you make that decision, It doesn't mean that you won't have a few little challenges along the way. What it means is you will not let any of those challenges stop you from getting back on the path or staying on the path. Well, that's all I have for you guys today on Designing Your Life Today. We're going to talk more about our Summer Success series next week. Give you guys a chance to sign up for different things that might help you with all of the above, help you with the old habits, recall the old habits, take a look at the current habits that you need to get rid of and the new habits. So we're going to talk about a lot of things in the coming weeks. In the meantime, do life with power, knowing that you're built by design to win.